Welcome to season 14 of the Parenting Aces podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Stone, and I am fresh off a few days up in Ojai, California at the Ojai tournament, which is a long-standing, you can see, just had the 123rd event, a long-standing tennis event that pulls out the entire community in the Ojai and Ventura area. People come out to watch the Big Ten Women's Tennis Championships, which is the collegiate event. There is the CIF high school event. There is a junior event. There is an adult open event. And it is an incredible, incredible place to be for a week of amazing tennis. And this community does an incredible job at promoting the event, at making everybody feel so welcome there, and providing all these perks for the players, for the fans, for the coaches. They have fresh tangerine juice every morning. They serve tea and cookies every afternoon. There was a barbecue, all complimentary, and it was just an amazing tournament. This is my second time to go, and I hope to start making this an annual pilgrimage for myself. It's a bit of a hike. It's about a 3.5 hour drive from where I am down in Orange County, California, but so worth it. And if you aren't following me on Instagram, or you happen to miss my posts on Instagram while I was there, please do check those out. It's at Parenting Aces on Instagram. I did a great interview with UCLA women's head coach Stella Sampras Webster. I did a great interview with the Harvard Westlake boys high school coach, and his name is Bo Hart. I hope you will check those out. And yeah, it was just amazing. So now, shifting gears to this week's episode, I am so excited for Coach Jim Harp to be back on the podcast. It's been several years since I've had Jim on. He and I stay in touch pretty regularly, but Jim is a coach in the Metro Atlanta area. He works with high performance players. He works with adults. He works with beginners, kind of the whole gamut. But he has a new initiative, which is why I wanted to bring him back on today, called Roots to Racquets. And I'm going to let Jim explain that to all of us and share with us the mission and the reason behind Roots to Racquets. And I'm just thrilled to have him back and to get to pick his brain a little bit. So without further ado, Coach Jim Harp. Jim, I'm so happy to see you and so happy to have you back on the podcast. And welcome back, my friend.
Oh, you're so kind. Thank you very much. It's great to be back. I follow it and have followed you for a long time. In fact, something I almost forgot to say is we start out, can we not thank you enough for Parenting Aces in general? I mean, over all of these years, you and I go way back talking about, do it this way, subscription, not that. But it was the service that you're providing in tennis for these parents to have a place to go, a central place that's easily found, it's easily navigable. You're so wide open. You're so happy to get on there and chat and help people. And just watching the success of Parenting Aces and what you do for tennis nationally, and not to mention maybe even globally now as you've continued to grow. But I've followed your path from the beginning, and just can't thank you enough for pushing tennis and making this so available to not just tennis parents, but players in general and coaches. So thank you.
I'm blushing. Thank you. And thank you for always being so quick to respond when I reach out to you with questions and advice gathering and all of that. So listen, it's a symbiotic relationship here between what I do, what you do, and the parents out there as well. And it takes us all to make this a success for our kids. I mean, because that's the goal, is to help these kids learn through tennis how to be not just great tennis players, but how to be great humans. And it takes good parenting, it takes good coaching, and it takes a commitment from all parties. So, I couldn't do it without the support of the coaches out there. And you are one of the tops of my list, Jim. So I appreciate you being here. I want to, before we kind of jump into the meat of this, I wanted to just give you an opportunity to talk about what your day to day looks like as a tennis coach, who you're
Mhm.
working with, and maybe just a little bit of your philosophy of developing junior tennis players.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, so day to day, I'm a tennis coach, right? I am first and foremost a coach, right? I'm an instructor. I get on the court every day with players. The long story will tell kind of as we go throughout this of where we ended up now. But I love being on court, continuing to help kids get to the collegiate level and beyond. Last year, spent a little time with a girl WTA tour, trying to help her through the ITFs and stuff, and the couple of few years before that going back, there were some guys passing through and that were really good. But I'm in the office every morning early on the court for a couple hours and then in the office again. It seems like I said the other day, my to-do lists have to-do lists. And then starting this other nonprofit, which I know you want to get to. But I'm a tennis coach. I coach. I go to tournaments. I go to a lot of coaching education. I still deliver coaching education. I'm a coach developer for PTR. In fact, I just had Nathan Pasha here over the weekend. I know you know Nathan, and Nathan was grinding away with us, and we were on court and talking coach talk, and Jordan Cox and some good friends like that, and our head performance guy here, Ryan Gaskin. So love being in their world, and I love the collegiate level, the ATP, WTA, ITF level. Those are great. 99% of my day is spent with kids, juniors, level 6 through 1s, just trying to make it. We talk about all the other things, but most of this, my profession, is developing junior talent. And as far as,
Well,
go
I
ahead.
was I was going to say, on top of that, you are very committed to educating parents alongside teaching tennis to the kids.
And we try, it's, I think Anne had said one time, this is one of the few that parents generally had never played. And especially a parent who didn't play a sport at a very high level and an open skill sport like tennis, where, we're going to bake these cookies for 5 to 8 years. I mean, my last guy who's playing at Virginia Tech, that was 10 years of baking, and we, wanted to make sure everything was done just the right way. And parents have to be a part of it. They have to understand it. It's not always easy. We certainly have plenty of disagreements. And you asked me about my philosophy, and I try to be as holistic as possible. Fancy way of saying I want to teach everything about the sport. My job, our job at Harp, and I say our, I teach by committee now. I don't have to be right. I don't have to be the guy. I have an incredible staff of coaches. We get together, we work together, but that philosophy is about teaching everything about the sport, the mental side, the on court, the off court. They have boyfriends and girlfriends and relationships, and mom's mad at me because I didn't do my homework. And tennis is this small space for them, but it takes up a lot of their time, and in a lot of ways it is a big space. So like Melanie Molitor's, I believe it's attributed to her, every shot from every spot with every spin. Our job is to give you all of the tools of tennis by the time you graduate high school. And those pros that we talk about, I mean, those are the lower level numbers. Those are harder to get to. But if you're working holistically, if you're working for that every shot, every spot, every spin, but you're also working like, hey, I heard, I'm sorry you broke up, or I'm sorry you got a big homework load, and hey, I understand. Or today is like, hey, you got to work through that. Trying to see the big picture and every year rewrite every single thing I did and try to do a better job. That's my
I love it.
philosophy, I guess, in a nutshell. Yeah, you never get it completely right. It's a test you never pass.
Oh, that's that's kind of rough to come to work every day and know that there's always another step in the process, that you're never reaching that end goal.
Yeah, don't you think? I mean, like here, hopefully, and this is something I know we'll dive into, but I want every kid to want to be, when you're 12, 13 years old, 11, 10, what are you going to do? I'm going to be the best player in the world and be number one. Of course you are. Absolutely. Let's get to work. So we can't lose sight of those big picture goals, but with every step you take, there's going to be something else that needs to be done. Every time you do it your best, you're going to redefine what's better. and really tough concepts for young kids has to be delivered in the right way. And then you get all the way, let's say, to professional level. Somebody's 500 in the world or 200 in the world. And what are we doing today? We're going to play a match and then we're going to redefine what's best again tomorrow. It's just that's the road is the secret, really. Just having a good road always ready to go.
Yeah, that's interesting to kind of think about on a macro and a micro level. And I want to say I just started watching the Carlos Alcaraz doc or series or whatever on Netflix. I watched the first episode, and he talks a lot in that episode. Well, he doesn't, but his coach Juan Carlos Ferrero talks a lot about in that episode about having to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think that to me is one of the most valuable lessons that tennis imparts to those who are willing to learn it. Because life isn't comfortable all the time. In fact, it's not comfortable most of the time. So we have to get comfortable with that discomfort.
Yeah, it's one of the most common cliches, although it's fair, it's pretty true around the world with coaches everywhere becoming comfortable with uncomfortable, and that's why when parents come in and it can be a fairly expensive sport to be training in, and at some point be like, look, you're not paying me for this destination, you're paying me to make sure the road is rewarding and it has opportunities and you're going to have all of the tools at your disposal that I can provide, but you pay me for the road, not the destination, and you have to stay focused on that road piece. If you look too far ahead, you can get lost because it doesn't get easier. Everything gets harder in this sport.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, I want to shift gears and I want to talk about Roots to Rackets. And first off, can you tell us what it is? And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so Roots to Rackets founded last year. I was hiring on another coach because I was going to work a little less on court, start doing a little more admin, growing the business. And I was like, oh, I have an idea. Let's start a nonprofit. And, you know, I want tennis to not only be more affordable, but it's an initiative. It's a healthy living initiative that we're looking to involve families with our kids to come to the center and be a part of this growth from a health and wellness point of view. And that is eating right, living right, exercising right. We see the news, we know what's good and what's bad to eat. We've known this stuff for years. We're choosing easy. And can I tell you the backstory of why I did this?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm in Starbucks getting my caffeine going for the day, and coaches need caffeine a lot, so I do anyway. So I'm in there, and this mom with a child is there, and he is not fit, and he's not close to fit, and she's not either. And she gets him the venti, which is large, but
Yeah.
as Paul Rudd says, no, it's not. It means 20. But anyway, it's a gigantic drink. And it's one of those that's extremely high calories, right? Maybe 600, 700 calorie drink. And she gives it to him, and it's all love. I mean, she's so sweet, and he's a sweet kid. And all I can think is like, this is just not the right choice. Like, I want you to have Starbucks. I want you to have something. This is a treat. This is really neat. This is not where we need to be. And it just broke my heart. I'm walking out of there, and I'm like, I know this kid could play tennis if he wanted to. We could have him on a different pathway. And so I went home and I was like, okay, now that I was trying to work less, I think I'm going to try to work harder than I've ever worked in my life. So, and that's what's happened. Like I said, my to-do lists have to-do lists now.
Yeah.
So that was the story behind it, and the ultimate goal here in North Georgia is we're looking to build a large tennis and enrichment center here. I can't give you too many secrets about where it's going to be, but we are in land searches and talks in the area. By the time this airs, hopefully we'll know a little bit more. The website's built. It's rootstorackets.org. There's probably going to be a couple lorem ipsum factos in there still, but we're working to get all the infrastructure completed. But in a nutshell, Lisa, that's where my heart is now, and that's where our drive is. We want to get people to our facility. We want these kids getting extra work after school, but we want to be health and wellness oriented from a nutrition point of view. What choices can we make? How do we read a food label, which is it's not a novel topic, by the way. It's just not getting done at the level I think it could be.
Can I tell you that in my life before Parenting Aces, I was at the top of the Georgia Commission on the Georgia Governor's Commission on Physical Fitness and Sports, and I my mission was to increase physical activity in schools, and I was going to the legislature lobbying. I was putting on physical activity programs for legislators to show them the benefits of being more physically active in terms of their productivity, in terms of how they feel, in terms of their energy. And this was 27 years ago.
Yeah.
The fact that this is still such a huge issue and concern in our country is so sad to me. And I'm so happy that you have taken on this cause. And I think you are the exact right person to be promoting this message. But at the same time, it is so frustrating that we're still having to educate around something so simple as taking care of yourself. And I think tennis is a great vehicle for that, because it is easily accessible in terms of there are tennis courts in parks where it is free or close to free to pay. You can find a used racket. You can find balls for relatively little expense. And I'm so glad that you're doing this. And I want to dig deeper into what your program entails and how you're marketing it and how you're funding it and all the things. So let's go. Let's dig in.
Yeah. So onboarding right away, we made some relationships with some local municipalities, and then we also got involved with the Boys and Girls Club. We onboarded 71 new players in the first week. Yeah,
Oh my
and
gosh.
everybody got a new racket and $25 for 6 weeks of tennis. And of course, if somebody didn't have 25, we don't care. We got an innovation grant from USTA, and I have to say, USTA has been incredible in this. They have been really helpful. They're like, Jim, if you can get this, we want to help you build this facility. We want to get involved. As we know, there's been a bit of a crunch in that other ball world. We won't mention it. Here's
Yeah.
he who will not be named. But
Yeah, exactly.
there's nothing wrong with racket sports to say racket sports. That's great. But we want to get kids in. My goal is tennis. I'm not a racket sports person. I'm a tennis person. I want tennis. But the the grant helped us get started. Also, the important piece was what you were talking about a moment ago, communication. Communication leads to action. Actionable things lead to change. Change means habits. When you create habits, you change lives and you create goals. So where we see it is communicating the newsletter monthly to the kids. We just sent out our first one, talked about some choices at Starbucks. And, I love Starbucks. I promote Starbucks. And there's also another part of this in terms of food. Not everything is about I'm going to make the healthiest choice. Years ago, I was volunteering in a food pantry during COVID, and there's just a lot of food insecurity too.
Yes.
Sometimes the calories you need are the calories you get, and that's the calories you're going to have. We don't want to be lecturing to somebody that they shouldn't stop at McDonald's because they have some coupons or they have money to spend there of some sort. If somebody needs to eat, we want to get them fed. But what we would like to do is offer more opportunities from the educational side. But the idea of the real change coming about comes about from the family. We've talked to Alistair and JY and everybody else. There's that common thread. I have your player at most 4 or 5 hours a day. The rest of the time, that young person is at home with you.
Yeah.
We can help change or help potentially affect change. But if we are working together with the families, educating the children, educating the parents, giving them support, and eventually with this new facility, giving them a place to come and be a part of tennis, the environment of tennis, the enrichment center, the classrooms, and hopefully we can get a community garden out of this as well. I'm really ambitious, by the way. Don't ask me how much this is going to cost. I don't want to talk about it. But That's how we affect change. It's in that communication. And look, everybody's social media, everything's a screen now. We have to be front and center and put things in front of our youth and our families that they want to do and want to be a part of. And to learn how to read the ingredients of a cucumber, for instance. It's a cucumber. That's the ingredient, right? When you look
Yeah.
when you look at the yeah, I like I don't like personally, I'm not a big Chick-fil-A guy, but a company's great. They got a lot of great food. Kids like it. There are choices Chick-fil-A has by design. You can make healthy choices. They have salads. They have grilled chicken versus the fried chicken. Nothing you're going to get in a store in a package is going to be necessarily ideal. But these are the fundamentals you and I've talked about. I mean, for years, there's red dyes and things. The more we talk about it, the more we put it on social media, the more the family integrates as part of change. That's how we make change.
So let me ask you, because you mentioned the newsletter that you're sending out to the kids. Are you sending that via text message? Are you sending it? Because like figuring out where kids consume stuff these
Right.
days is really tricky.
That's a really good, a lot of our infrastructure is brand new, but some of it's piggybacking off of what I've done in harp tennis for the last 25 years. And, so we pick up the email as an email to them.
Okay.
We call it the roots letter, got to get cute with it. A little alliteration, I guess. So I think consistency, it's like tennis. You
Mm-hmm.
show up every day, you work for 2 or 3 hours, you're going to get somewhere. Show up every day, work for an hour, you're going to get somewhere. But if you show up here, there, you're not going to make the same. So it's consistency on our part. Some creativity now too in AI gives us the opportunity to explore more social media opportunity, which we're looking at the creativity that social media in general can bring to us. The TikToks, the Snapograms, and all that stuff. If we can get our message creatively to young families and families in general, and kids, I think they're more likely to read it. The more times they read it, the more opportunity we have to affect that kind of change. And we're doing it
Mm-hmm.
through tennis. And I remind everybody as these other paddle sports are coming and going. Um, I remember when racquetball was really, really big. It was in every club in the country, every club all over the world, maybe. Those are closets now, or they've
Yeah.
converted them to some other thing. So all of these paddle sports are great. All of my joking aside, but maybe we got a bit stale on the tennis side, and this is an opportunity now to integrate the best parts of our game with what it takes to play at a high level as well. Because you can't eat badly, you can't treat your body badly and expect to be a high performing player.
Right. And I think, you've touched on a lot of really important pieces of this. One is accessibility to healthy food. And again, going back to my days with the Governor's Commission, I would go to the food pantries and there was no fresh produce there. Everything was in cans or in packages. And it's like, wait a minute, we joke about what are the ingredients of a cucumber. Well, they're kids that don't understand the origin of the food they're eating. They don't understand it comes out of the ground. They don't understand it comes from an animal or a tree. And it's so important to educate around that. So your idea of a community garden to me is just bang on, to get kids out there and working the soil and starting from a seed, going to a thing they, put in their body to fuel themselves, I think is really invaluable and has been missing from our culture for quite a while. The other piece of this is the affordability. And I think, right now we're seeing grocery prices go through the roof. We're seeing restaurant prices go through the roof. I mean, I think my husband and I went to Chick-fil-A recently and it was $25 for the two of us for lunch. And I'm like, what? Chick-fil-A used to be like $5 or $6 for two of us to eat. $25 now? Like things are just really expensive. And so finding ways to make these healthy choices accessible has been a challenge for decades and continues to be a challenge. I hope that we're going to tag Starbucks in all the social media posts because how awesome would it be if they came on as a sponsor of this initiative? Roots to Rackets brought to you by Starbucks. I mean, holy moly, that would give you, some amazing exposure and hopefully some good funding to help you continue forward with these initiatives. So, the challenge always when you're trying to do good for your community is the funding piece of it. It's life's expensive, building is expensive, marketing's expensive, and I hope that this funding that USTA has offered as seed money for you continues and you're able to really build on that. Can you talk a little bit about some of your ideas or maybe things you're already implementing for fundraising?
Yeah, so that's great. The It's funny, you're like, I'm going to start a nonprofit. Okay, start a nonprofit. Okay, got a nonprofit going. Okay, that's working out. Got to do
But that
this.
costs
Now I got to do
money.
that.
Just starting the
Yeah.
nonprofit costs money. You have to
Yes, it
file
did.
papers.
Yeah, I put my own
Yeah.
money into it, of course, and you just do that, um, and I continue to do that. But I read a lot of books over the years, Food Politics and What to Eat by Marion Nestle, a PhD nutritionist out of New York. She's really good. Mark Hyman's books are really fantastic. A doctor associated with the Cleveland Clinic. I mean, everybody's saying the same thing, and there's all these politics involved and grocery chains, and like you can't get into that. You have to just take action. So the way I'm seeing it now is everybody's incentivized. We all know it's too expensive. Quit complaining about it. For me, like, let's not complain. Let's not ask for this. Let's go make partnerships. Hey, Kroger. Hey, Northside Hospital. Hey, Publix. What can you do for us to help push this forward? The local farming community, we have a lot of chicken plants here. We are going to be implementing have a little pitch deck and going in and can we please partner with you? And, hey, I've never heard of you. You're very small. This means, but a little bit, it's just a little bit at a time. It's again the old Sun Tzu quote, a journey of 1,000 miles. I've just my to-do lists is, you know, get website rolling, populate website, um, more populate website, write 3 blogs, get out a newsletter. I'm getting on court. I gotta go on the court. I've got a roots program on Mondays and Fridays, goes for an hour, and go out and make sure they have their email. They know what the schedule is for the summer. Like I said, it's kind of overwhelming. Brought on a project manager. He's been fantastic at helping me sort through. I'm kind of the typical, I don't know what I'm typical of. My wife would tell you it's not typical, but um, entrepreneurial, always trying to. So I'm scattershot. I'm moving left, right, and sideways. I remember one time somebody asked me the question, "What is your management style?" I was like, "Not a manager." I was like, "I kick over the ant piles and then I herd ants." I was like, "That's a terrible idea," and that's kind of unfortunately how you start off. You have an idea, you throw things at walls, you fail a lot. But now it's what I was saying is creating the infrastructure to create these partnerships and agreements. And we're really buttoning up the infrastructure now. We're pretty much there. We already have some partnerships and agreements, and it's starting to take the steam and get moving down the track. And it's up to me to go in and knock on a lot of doors and tell them what we're trying to do, like with you. And it's funny because you reached out to me organically when you saw something I put on put on LinkedIn. You're like,
Yeah.
Jim, what are you doing? I was like, uh-oh, Lisa found out. So it's good to get the exposure, but we want to be ready for it.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, this doing things like this the right way are not easy, but I have lots of friends all over the country. A lot of people, and again, this is not a novel thing. If anything, the health and wellness portion is specifically mine, but the
Mhm.
JTCC and my friend at Third Serve in Kiowa, Houghton and Barth, they're doing a remarkable job. Sportsman's in Dorchester, that's an amazing facility. And these things occur around the country. We just need it here and for the right reasons. And we need to grow tennis.
Yeah.
I also want a
Agree.
bigger pool. I got to have a bigger pool of athletes.
Yeah. I love that. You said you've got this 1 hour roots program. What is that? What's happening in that 1 hour?
Okay, so the kids, it's really a pretty prototypical tennis lesson. The kids come out. The fun one was when we onboarded boys and girls clubs. My staff, except for me and my head professional, hadn't been in a world of like that after school care and at-risk youth. And, they were rearing to go. We could see them behind the wall, like hitting their fists on the glass. And we're in the gym, set up 3 nets in a row. And I've got 5 staff. I mean, we're ready, rackets, balls. And you could tell the staff of boys and girls clubs, I mean, they're working so hard. These you know, it that staff cannot be sung highly enough about the work they do with these young kids. They are a handful. And so they push 25 out at a time to us. And when they turned the corner, we knew it was on. They're looking to us like we're going to tear these guys up. So it was wild and really fun. But they come out, we teach skill. We try to get them doing things that are skill oriented, like running, jumping, catching, throwing, and just integrating skill acquisition early. They're dying to get the racket going, so we do some little racket things like tennis hockey. But it really is the prototypical tennis lesson, I think. But we're not feeding a lot of balls in that. We're trying to get them to work with each other and understand. We want them to play the game, see how fun the game itself is. And that's what that looks like twice a week. And then they get the newsletter once a month, hopefully more. But if I tried to do too much more, I feel like I don't want to not send a newsletter because I'm so overwhelmed or rush
Yeah.
information. So that's what that looks like right now, Lisa.
And the newsletter, is that where the health and wellness information goes out?
Yes, that is exactly. And we talk about it on the court as well. We have discussions on court. And by the way, the families come out for this. The families, the parents are typically not participating, although they're welcome to. This was our first rollout. So in our first rollout, I expected 10 kids. I didn't expect 71 kids. So that was really cool. Like, wow, this is great. I know we're on the right track. But the families come out, they sit on the court, they're watching the kids. We're talking about these things that we need to do. And the hope is that when we have our own enrichment center, we can really populate the enrichment center with this information. Hey, here's a better choice. Here's how to choose things in the grocery store. Even and again, every time I have an idea, I have to write it down. Grocery store advocates, somebody that will actually go with you to the grocery store and help you sort through some things. Why is that not something that can't have a partnership affiliated with it? You know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I think that would be amazing. And then you incorporate cooking classes and yeah, you've got the garden. I mean, holy cow, Jim, this has unlimited possibilities and could make an incredible impact on community health, which is, like we need advocates here because things are disappearing like this from the government side. So it's going to take the private sector to step in and make sure that these education opportunities, these services are still being provided to the people that are in need of them.
And the research on brain health in uh, at-risk populations is something that needs to be brought to light as well. And it gets pushed back. People don't realize when you're eating things out of a can, you're eating processed food all the time, and you're not eating healthy. And look, mom and dad are working. They are, there's a lot of people just barely making it. Even the ones who are living well or middle class or and above are still making a lot of bad choices. And they think, oh, well, it's just, contributing to my waistline. I'm a little tired. It's like, no, there's brain health and a lot of other things that are contributing to this. And in terms of disease prevention, it's again, we can't ever wait for others to do what we know we're supposed to do first. So somebody has to be first through the door. I'm not first through this door. I'm just trying to be an advocate for all of these things at once, and change my small part of the world if I can, and hopefully that'll matriculate, and continue to
Yeah.
change.
I mean, listen, we're all about the easy button, right? I mean, I remember that old, was it Staples that had the easy
Yeah.
button? Yeah. I remember those ads and thinking, oh my God, this is such a horrible message to put out to the world
Mhm.
that, that things should be easy. Life is not easy. Life is challenging. Life is difficult. Life is about choices. And sometimes those choices are really stressful to make because neither is optimal or both are optimal and you have to make decisions. This is another one of those things that I love about our sport. Tennis is not easy. it can be easy to go out and just smack balls around with your friends and fun and all that and awesome. But if you're pursuing this sport to a high level, it is not easy. It requires making that choice every single day to come out and work hard and treat your body well and do the fitness and do the footwork and do the mental training and do the on-court work every single day. And so I think, one of the great lessons of tennis is imparting this message to our kids that life ain't easy. You are going to be faced with challenges. We are going to equip you with some tools to manage those challenges and get through them without completely imploding. And it's the same with healthy eating. It's the same with healthy choices in terms of behavior, mental health, all of it. It's difficult, but life is difficult. It just is. So let's support one another. Let's do what we can to provide opportunity to put these healthy foods in front of you or give you the chance to actually grow them for yourself. Think of how much money you can save at the grocery store if you're growing your own vegetables and your own fruit. And yeah, I commend you for what you're up against. Again, is there a way that we as the Parenting Aces community can support you from a financial standpoint?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, we'd love to have anything you want to do for us. At least, honestly, just having me on the podcast is incredible. And you and I can speak off when we get done about some ideas I have. Maybe if you want to get involved a little more with this, and we'd love to have you as part of a team here. And I know you're away and distant, but I think your ideas and your energies and your connections and your enthusiasm, we're speaking the same language on it. We are in the process of growing these partnerships. Once we grow the partnerships and we have our lands kind of put away that we know we're going to build and we get moving, I think that's when the real big changes are going to come, and the ability to go with our partners, and have shopping advocates and have nutrition and have parts of the store that aren't just organic. Oh, wow, organic. Look how much that is. I'm for organic, by the way, and free range and everything that's healthy we're for, but you end up becoming in league or under the control of a large company when you're always eating these cans of this and packaged that, and you lose your own ability to make healthy choices because they've made the unhealthy ones so accessible and so inexpensive that, who's the how many can you name 5 kids not in your own family that have grown their own vegetables and
No.
picked them? I'm not even sure my daughter has, although she's helped me in my garden a few times and stuff. That's a thing, right? Like, where's that accessibility? And I think we can leverage some partnerships out of it. Companies, you're going to make your money. I want you to be successful. You employ a lot of people. The ecosystem works, right? Doesn't always work perfectly, but it works. But now that you're doing quite well, maybe you can help us help others make the right decisions, and maybe that grows another part of the industry. So it's up to me to convince them. And in terms of my relationship with you, anything you guys can do to help us, Roots to Rackets has a donate button on it. We're slowly growing towards these goals, and we're looking for some people to partner with for sure.
Okay, and we'll have a link to the website in the show notes. So we're going to make it easy for you guys to click that donate button, and whatever you can do to help, I think, is going to a great cause. Jim, can you talk a little bit about, you keep mentioning the land and building. What is it specifically that you're looking to build, and what will happen in that space?
Okay. We're probably looking at about a 10-acre facility and the difference is we're looking for 6 to 8 indoor courts. Eight's what I really want. North Georgia needs a public tennis center within the metro region. It's crazy we don't have an indoor tennis center in the metro region. We just don't have a public one. So I want 8 indoor courts, but I want 8 classrooms in there too. So 8 enrichment center classrooms. They will have everything. We're hoping for STEM, robotics lab, AI, ELA, tutors, access to after school education, probably a homeschool affiliated with us because, frankly, we already have so many kids who have to do that to be able to travel enough. So that's the indoors 8. And then, of course, the indoor facility is ambitious as it usually is with me. Outside, at least 20 tennis courts. We want to be able to host tournaments up here. And, look, USTA takes the fall all the time. They're the bad guy this, bad guy that, PTR this, RSPA that. We're all just trying to grow tennis. Maybe some of the, what is that, pickled cucumber ball they play? I mean, they're trying to grow that too, but that's not my role. Um, so big enough to be accessible to the public for all of our tennis needs here. And you know how big tennis is in Atlanta. Think
Huge.
about it. There are no public indoor facilities in the metro region. Rome
And let me
Tennis
just
Center is the
say,
closest.
those of you who have not been to Atlanta, it rains quite often. If it's not raining in the summer, it's the humidity levels are through the roof. So to have an option indoors in, you know, the Julys and Augusts of the year would be amazing. And then guess what? It does snow from time to time in Atlanta, and ice is over, and outdoor courts are not an option.
Right.
So
It's
yeah,
cold.
the indoor courts, I mean, people that think, oh, it's the South, why do you need indoor courts? There is a need.
Yeah, and I mean, I've spent some time in Dorchester, quite a few times with my friend Martone up there. He's an amazing coach, amazing energy. And I'll go in there and we're doing a PTR thing, and I look over and there's just a bunch of kids who've come in for after school care, and they're hitting balls all over the place. They're having fun, some free play. That's where this needs to be. But if we can marry, I really like the idea of the synergy of marrying the entire community. Those of us who can afford it, those of us who can kind of afford it, and those who can't afford it. Let's all get together and let's share all of this knowledge and let's share the opportunities to make a world for our kids that is healthy and has opportunity and understands that we can't, just like all of these different tennis agencies, we're not separate. We're all trying to do the same thing. So that's kind of the approach is on the facility is big enough to be everything. And yeah, ambitiously recently, I'm like, I would really like to build a community garden. Why can't I build a community garden? Can't see
Yeah,
why
if
not.
anybody can, you can, Jim. I have total faith in you
I can
that you
drive the
will make this
tractor, I
happen.
promise. I'm good with a tractor. I've grown a lot of vegetables. I love to garden. But yeah, that's what I'm in love with right now. And trying to change this part of my world.
I love it. I love it. All right, what else do we need to know that I've forgotten to ask you?
Gosh, nothing other than, like I said, my to-do list. I have to-do lists. We're crazy busy. I'm very blessed. My daughter's getting ready to graduate college with honors. Um, I never
Oh,
finished
that
college.
happened. She was a little girl when
Exactly.
we first met. Holy
Yep.
moly.
She's a baby. Well, I never
Yeah.
finished college. I actually still take college classes. I dropped out after 10 years in junior college, so trying to make it out of that. And so I went back to school a few years ago, taking a class at a time and brushing up on my math and sociology. It's been the old guy in the room from time to time in a few online classes. And I'm also trying to put my money where my mouth is, as the cliche goes, and be the person that I'm supposed to be.
I love that. I do. It's great. Jim, I'm so proud of you. First of all, I think, I when I first met you, I knew there was something deeper than just a tennis coach in there. And I'm using air quotes when I say just. But I think this next step for you is a logical one. And I think you are the right person to take the helm on this. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Whatever we can do at Parenting Aces to support that. I don't have a big checkbook, but I've got a lot of energy, and our community has a lot of energy. And I think, together we can help you create this thing that you're aiming for. And I would love to be part of it.
Awesome. Now you really moved me, man. I've had myself get choked up every once in a while because I realized after all this time, all I ever wanted to be was not to be a charlatan. I was always so scared that I would be this tennis coach salesman, and we all have known the type, and that I wasn't going to be a good coach, and I wasn't good enough. And then I coached at this level and I coached at that level. Look above me, I've got 50 hats of. I ask my players to give me a hat every time they make it onto a college roster. So have my collection of hats. I worked here, worked there. And then I got to the point where I did a good job with that, and I want to leave something behind that matters. And this is my thing now. So I appreciate your kind words, and just like all the rest of them, just trying to do the best I can.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're here for you. I want to encourage all of our listeners slash viewers to check out rootstorackets.org. And again, we will have the link in the website if you want to click that donate button. We will all appreciate that very much. And if you find yourself in the Atlanta area, look up Jim. Get out on court with him, get your kid out on court with him, even if it's just for an hour or two. Your child will come away with not just additional skill, because it's an hour or two and we have to keep our expectations realistic, but they will come away with a shift in attitude, a shift in the way they approach training for the sport, playing the sport, respecting the sport, because Jim is one of those coaches that doesn't tolerate disrespect in any way, shape, or form, but he does it in such a gentle, loving way that it sinks in. And I know, Jim, the kids that train with you, the parents of the kids that train with you, there is a gentleness, a kindness, a communityness about them that comes from the way that you approach this game. So thank you for that, and thank you for always answering my questions and answering my call when I say let's do a podcast.
I'll always answer your call, Lisa. You're too kind. Thank you so much for everything. I look forward to
Thank
the
you.
future.
Thank you. And to my listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time on Parenting Aces.